So if it has to be done, it has to be done.
Like the man says, come on down! Yeah, come on!
I'm coming!
Justin, Eric, Nathan, and Joseph, tell us what to do.
Hi, I'm Brooke Bundy. I'm here at Scarefest, and the hysteria continues. On delay.
Yes, welcome back to Hysteria Continues, and this time we get wet on episodes 343 when we head to Prague via Germany for the post-Scream slasher from 2001, The Pool. And Eric, do you ever get wet?
Yes, I like to frolic in a pool.
Do you? Are you? Can you swim?
Yes.
Okay.
What an accusation.
Well, I don't know. Some people don't. Some people can't swim, can they? So I don't know.
Yeah, no, but I do. Yes, I love being in the sea, but not necessarily when I'm in Ireland when it's 6 degrees.
Well, I'd heard you love bobbing up and down, but I didn't realise that meant swimming.
Toilet face.
Yes, I can see you've got your soundboard already from I recognise that little quote from a movie we may be talking about and recently seen a little bit later, I think. So, yes. And Nathan, are you one for a swimming pool, or are you?
Yeah, I like swimming pools.
Presumably not ones where you might get murdered with a machete or slide down a slide and get your nether regions chopped in half.
Yeah, I feel like that would be a downer.
That would ruin the afternoon.
Maybe they should have handles on the slides so you can like grab something.
So what would you do if you saw a big chopper coming towards you? Would you try and grab it?
Maybe. It's tough to say. Oh, wait, you're talking... Okay, yeah, that was a double entendre.
I think it was a single entendre, to be honest.
Oh, never mind.
So...
I'll keep sipping my coffee.
Let's all get stimulated. So, Joseph, how about you? Do you enjoy pools, or do you fear them?
I don't fear swimming. I'm actually an excellent swimmer. But Nathan, do you remember that time we got really blitzed and we were so hungover we had to go swimming the next day to kind of wash the hangover off?
Yes, it was a very rough hangover. I'm very glad I don't have those days anymore. But yes, I remember that because we didn't have, I don't think we had swimming trunks. So we just wore like gym shorts to the pool.
Well, with this pool that we're going to be visiting later, there's more to worry about than getting a verruca, isn't there? So this is your choice, Nathan, wasn't it?
Yes. It's because we covered slashers, and this came out around the same time.
Okay. Well, what do we have? I think we got a trailer, haven't we, for the pool?
Yeah, there are trailers out there. Some of them are dubbed in German, so I'll throw something up there.
Right. Well, Nathan, bring us back to your choice, the pool, after this.
It was their last day of term. When you've been there, done that, you need somewhere special to go.
3, 2, 1, go!
But it's about to become a night they'll never forget. because someone is watching, waiting, and ready
Guys, this door is locked.
to kill.
Who would do something like this?
One of us?
Now, the only way to stay alive is to follow the rules.
We can't just wait here until we get slaughtered.
The pool.
Hold your breath. School's out, exams are over, and it's time for real life to begin. But before 13 friends from the International High School in Prague disappear to the four corners of the earth, they intend to throw the best party of their lives. The idea to stage the party in Prague's biggest swimming pool is illegal, but irresistible. And when Gregor, the laid-back leader of the group, thinks an idea is good, no one objects. But what begins as the party of a lifetime quickly turns into a race for survival, as one by one, the teens end up meeting a bloody fate. As a mysterious masked killer continues his rampage through the building, it quickly becomes clear that he may be one of their own. So, the pool is one that I saw at the same time that I watched slashers. I bought them both on DVD at the time. So I watched them many, many times. I've always loved it. You know, it's definitely in the vein of Scream, our late 90s slashers, early 2000s. It fits in with those. I think it's got a great setting. The swimming pool complex is a great setting for a slasher movie. I think there's some fun death scenes. Definitely the water slide death scene when, she just kind of opens her legs and just hits it. I mean, it's, I guess there's nothing else she could have done except maybe try to swing around it in some way. I don't know if that would have worked though. Probably not. It's interesting to see a young James McAvoy here, and he is very young in this one. I love the scene where they're in the air conditioning vents and the killer's like stabbing through the air conditioning vents to try to get them. Stuff like that I find to be a lot of fun. And I love seeing the victims trying to get away from, the knives being stabbed at them continuously. So, I love that. The killer's costume, I could take or leave. It kind of...
it looks like the Punisher or something.
Yeah, I was thinking that too. Didn't really look like, I don't know, slasher-ific much to me. But, that's okay. He swings a good machete. Let's see. I guess if I had criticisms, one of my main ones would be there's too many survivors at the end. There were several more characters that could have been killed off. And what's kind of ironic is that two of the surviving characters I actually found to be kind of two of the worst people in that group that I didn't think were very nice people to begin with.
Which ones?
It was actually the two side guys. The one, Chris, the one that was going to throw her in the water earlier, he's kind of a jerk. And then the other one is that guy, Diego, who, he also kind of gives off like, jerk vibes to me. So I'm like, they could have died. I don't know why they chose to let so many people live. I thought that was kind of an odd decision. Very the final terror of them. But overall, I still really enjoy the movie. I think that there's a lot of fun to be had here. I find the whole storyline of the best friend and the boyfriend cheating on the main girl to be very ludicrous, I guess, in a way of she kind of gives her this apology towards the end, but I'm like, even up to that moment, you were trying to hook up with her boyfriend, at the swimming pool itself. So, I'm like, you're not the greatest person either. You're not a good friend. And I also kind of feel like the main girl's forgiving them at the end was kind of funny because it was just like, well, you've done this horrible thing to me, but don't you do that again and we'll be good. Um, but yeah, I'm very curious to hear your guys' thoughts on it, and I'm going to go the way the screens are lined up for me. So, Eric, the pool.
Yeah, okay. Well, I didn't like this when I first saw it. I didn't see it in 2001. It was probably about 10 years later. But I did really enjoy it this time around. It's very European. It kind of gave me vibes of those Argento films from the noughties, like Sleepless and The Card Player. I think it's just because I suppose there's so many European accents. It feels like a lot of it was post-dubbed, which gives it that kind of strange Argento quality. I thought it was interesting that this is a film from 2001, which I would consider as recent. And yet it's so incredibly dated. I thought the opening credits, the font they used was really typical of 1999/2000 kind of opening title fonts. It had kind of Bond or Mission Impossible kind of look to it. I also love the fact that they listen to cassettes in their car. They all have this cassette. They synchronize it so they all listen to a cassette at the same time. I was like, whoa, were we really listening to cassettes as recently as 2001? And they all smoke cigarettes, which again is another thing that you don't really see these days. But for me, the strongest asset of the film is definitely the location, because it's called a pool, but really it's more of a small indoor water park. A single pool probably wouldn't sustain a 90-minute movie. But this has it has water slides and different pool areas and a gym and a bar. So there's lots of scope for people to split up and places for the killer to hide and all that type of stuff. It's the film itself is unbelievably cookie cutter. It ticks every box in the post-Scream slasher checklist, but that's kind of why I like it. It's got those good-looking teens, the TV star types, and they're all arranged in that kind of tiered way on the poster art, which was just every single movie was doing that back then. There's a huge big info dump at the start of the movie where you're introduced to all these characters. I thought there was too many of them, maybe. That's one of the problems I had when I watched this first, was like when it got to the end of the film, I was like, I have no idea who any of these characters are. I've lost track of who's going out with who's cheating on who. Because there's a lot of sort of mid-European accents in it, and sort of people kind of look similar-ish, and some of the guys look kind of similar. The only one I could discern was James McAvoy, but I sort of sat and really focused on it this time, and it worked a lot better for me. I thought the killer's mask wasn't a million miles away from Ghostface. It had kind of that vibe, and he had a tight sort of black jumper and looked like leather pants on, which is not the most comfortable outfit for going around killing people. It also had that ending, which, like all those I Know What You Did Last Summer, Scream, Urban Legend, they all end with the two people standing beside an ambulance and the camera pulls out. These sound like criticisms, but this is exactly why I liked it. It's so familiar and unpretentious. I thought Isla Fisher's character of Kim, she was almost crossing over into Inga territory. Her short amount of screen time in the film, she spent crying, sulking and moaning about her exam results, which I suppose is fair enough, but I thought she was quite hilarious in the film. And it's really interesting to have actors in this, as you said, like James McAvoy and Isla Fisher. Isla Fisher was well known at this stage to audiences, probably to, I don't watch the Australian soap Home and Away, but she was one of the main regular characters in that. So she would have been a familiar face to many people in Australia, obviously, but also in the UK and Ireland, where Aussie soaps are huge. But James McAvoy, it gives the film, an added layer of interest, I suppose. When I always love when there's a superstar of nowadays and their humble beginnings in a obscure horror movie. It's like the Charlize Theron's 5 seconds of fame in Children of the Corn 3. I did think it was thoughtless of Gregor to invite his girlfriend to a pool party when she's so terrified of water. It'd be like if Justin took me to a goth convention, or he took me to the graveyard or something.
You'd love that, you dirty bitch.
I thought the acting, again, because I get the impression it was post-dubbed, a lot of it. The acting's quite stilted. And it's very obviously kind of a European production trying to masquerade as kind of an American slasher. But that added another layer of intrigue to it, to be honest. And as you were saying, Nathan, the standout moments for me were the water slide death, which is really effective. I'm not sure that would ever happen to me, because I did go to a water park in the south of France about 2003, so about 22 years ago, and I just stopped sliding halfway down the slide. Now I know what you're going. I know what you're all thinking. I was half the size I am now, so it wasn't nothing to do with that. But I just lost momentum, and I was like, I'm stuck on the slide. And then 3 guys from Belfast came sliding into the back of me. Yeah, I know what you're going to say, Justin.
I would never make a joke about 3 men coming and taking you roughly from behind, one after the other.
Yeah, but I did. Apart from that one instant, I fucking loved being at the water park. Thankfully, there were no psycho killers there. Yeah, and the crawling through the ventilation system again, well done. Similar to Jamie Lloyd in the laundry shoot in Halloween 5, which we did a commentary for a few weeks ago. You have three or four characters actually, I think, are in the vents, and the killer is shoving the machete through the metal from beneath. It's well done. As for the killer's identity, because there's so many characters, and because I kind of lose track, the lower tier characters, I kind of lose track of who they are and what their names are, and I didn't work out who was the killer. But I did enjoy the film overall. It does, it's copying Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, but it does it really well, I think. And I like that the fact that the tone is kept serious, but whilst also being really fun. It didn't go over the top with jokes or japes. And, I did like that I Know What You Did Last Summer gag at the end, where Sarah, is that her name, says to Gregor, I know what you did last summer, referring to the fact that he'd snogged Carmen. Is that her name? No.
Yeah, Carmen.
Is it Carmen? Yeah.
They also kind of riff on the, I think Jamie Kennedy in the first Scream, he says, is that before or after you sliced and diced? And she says the same thing to one of the characters in this movie, yeah.
Okay, so the robbing wholesale. No, but a big thumbs up for me for The Pool. I was really impressed with it this time round. Maybe too many characters. As you said, a lot of them survive, but I mean, a lot of them I just didn't know who they were even at the end of the film. But I did really enjoy it, yes.
I mean, I kind of can relate to you on the killer's identity, because the very first time I watched it, when he was unmasked, I think my first thought was, which one was he?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Out of the characters, which one was he? But anyway, yeah. Joseph, thoughts on The Pool?
Yeah, I had a bit of a strange, I wouldn't say adverse, but a strange reaction to The Pool. First time I'd seen it in probably 15 years, and it's playing, and I'm thinking, they're ticking all the boxes of a post-Scream slasher movie with this scene, or I really love the payoff to that scene, and I'm looking at that water slide death especially. I love that scene. But I was never really feeling wowed despite a lot of good set pieces, and I think it's because this movie feels like someone in 2025 time traveled back to the turn of the century and took ChatGPT with them. It might be the Euro sensibilities pretending to be neutral, but the movie really started to feel as if it was written by AI. I mean, it does everything you'd expect a slasher movie to do, but it feels mechanical, and it features a cast of characters who, they're not totally unlikable. Some of them are, some of them aren't, but they kind of feel unrelatable with how rich and privileged they are, and bland. My God, these characters were so bland to the point that when they reveal who the killer is, it could have been anyone and it wouldn't have made 1 millimeter's difference. And that's another thing. This movie's set in Prague and features individuals from all over the world, but look as hard as you want, you will not find a wider, more vanilla cast of characters than any other movie. I couldn't tell you a single person's name or a defining trait except that more than half of them smoke a lot. I also felt the movie grinded to an absolute dead stop every time they cut away from the action at the water park to follow around that detective character. He only exists to spit out exposition as it relates to the killer. But I do admit to getting a big laugh out of the painstaking steps they took to ensure that he never mentions the killer's name, because I'm pretty sure he knows who it is.
It reminded me of Homer Simpson's dream, where he invents the world's most amazing item, but in his dream he can't work out what it is, and he can never see it.
And when his storyline finally intersects with the action at the pool, he immediately gets killed, and he's relayed none of his information to anyone except the audience through, clunky exposition. It's a complete waste of time. But having said that, there's certainly a very strange likability to the pool. It looks fantastic and is very slick. It has at least 3 or 4 outstanding set pieces, including the water slide death and that tense scene with the characters crawling through an air duct. And like Eric said, I probably wasn't supposed to chuckle, but that early role by Isla Fisher had me laughing with how stroppy she was behaving. So it's okay. It's perfectly watchable and never boring. I mean, I was never bored. But, at the end of the day, it really feels kind of assembly line to me. So I'm kind of middle of the road on it.
Okay, that's fair enough. I will say, like, the whole thing with the cop, I'd agree with you on. He's just there for exposition. He reminds me of the brother in The Stepfather,
Yes.
the one that's just given constant exposition till he shows up to die.
Total mood killer every time he's on screen.
Right. Justin, The Pool.
Yeah, well, I reviewed this, caught up with it again a couple of years ago for Hysteria Lives, and I enjoyed it more than I remember, a bit like Eric. I think when I saw it, I had the DVD, I still got a DVD knocking around somewhere, and to the best of my knowledge, this has never been released onto Blu-ray, and I've got a good idea why, which I'll talk about when we get some background. But no, I enjoy this. I think it's kind of like, I kind of side more with Eric. It's kind of very cookie cutter, but I also appreciate that it plays itself straight, but has a sense of fun with it. I mean, it's kind of like, I can see what Joseph was saying about the whole kind of feels like it's done by AI before AI. And whoever wrote the script has basically just sat down for a weekend and watched Scream 2, I Know What You Did Last Summer, Urban Legend, all those movies, and then just banged out a script. But the setting, I think, is great. It's a really good setting. The one thing did strike me, which I thought it wouldn't have got in a different movie around this time necessarily, is that you're talking about the cast looking very vanilla. I mean, literally vanilla. There's like no black characters at all, which is something unlike you would see in kind of a slash movie in North America from this time. This is kind of a German slasher movie. I don't want to read too much into that, but considering it's supposed to be an international school, there wasn't any kind of international cast apart from like the kind of bad Euro dubbing, but it did make me. The Euro dubbing made me laugh, and Eric will know this. And if you're from the UK, you may have heard of Eurotrash with Anton de Caunes and what was his name? Who's the designer? Jean-Paul Gaultier.
Currently being shown on Talking Pictures TV on a Saturday night.
Well, there was so many kind of like mismatched kind of Euro dubbing kind of voices that I half expected Lola Ferrari to float by at some point, which would have been quite fun. So, but no, I had to. I mean, the set pieces are great. I agree. The scene with the water slide is obviously iconic, and it did get. There was. Is it Aqua Slash? There was another
Aqua
more
Slash,
recent,
yeah.
Yes, and they did the same thing, didn't they? Borrowed it from this. But the scenes, I really like the scene where the killer is kind of chasing the two girls and they're hiding behind that reception desk. I thought that was very well done, and the scene with them crawling through the vents. I mean, it's very kind of it's such a good mix for a slash movie, that whole idea of being somewhere very claustrophobic and kind of boxed in literally with the machete coming through. I mean, it's been done, and obviously it's lifted from Halloween 5 and probably a lot of other horror movies, but I had fun with it. Overall, I think it is a fun movie. It's got that kind of popcorny feel, the very much 2001 with all those kind of pop songs just playing throughout, which, to be honest, is, from what I've heard, is the reason why this hasn't got any kind of release since, because there's quite a few of these kind of German slash movies like School's Out that kind of came out around that time, which is another really fun movie, and School's Out 2 is a really fun movie as well, but they all use lots of pop music throughout, and it's the rights licensing which proves a complete nightmare.
They could always replace it, because that's what they do, like Beverly Hills 90210, and they had to put it out in DVD. They had to replace a lot of the music playing on it.
Okay, yeah, well, they could. I mean, if the will was there, I kind of guess it depends whether or not there's an audience for them.
Yeah, maybe the will isn't there. But you think with James McAvoy as a star and Isla Fisher, you think might be a market for it?
Yeah, I guess it all depends on the rights costs, doesn't it, and how much they want for them. But yeah, overall, I mean, the setting is great. Basically it's a classic slasher movie setting in a pool. There's a British, not Lost, but there's My Most Wanted movie. And it's not even a movie, a short film that played in English cinemas in 1980. It was called Dark Water, and that was set at a swimming pool with a couple creepy going in overnight, and there's a psycho killer in with them. And I think it's only like 10 or 15 minutes, and it exists, but it's never been released to video or to YouTube or anything like that. So that had a kind of similar, obviously, this idea of the swimming pool is, I think it's just like a really good setting. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. I mean, it is cookie cutter, but it's still kind of like the formula works. It's just effortlessly fun. So it's the kind of movie you kind of switch off your brain and go with it and have a few beers, So yeah, it's not groundbreaking, but I mean, I'd probably prefer this to a number of the other early 2000s slasher movies that kind of the tail end to Scream. So yeah, a lot of fun. So I'm glad we finally covered it on the podcast, Nathan. So thank you.
Yes, thank you guys. Okay, so the pool or slashers?
The pool.
The pool. The pool every day.
Yes, every day.
I think, for me, I like slashers, and I think the idea is great. And I think it was kind of like if it had a bit bigger budget and was cut down, it was a bit more tightly edited. Then, but yeah, I would say the pool.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna have to agree with you guys on that one. But I still love slashers though. But yeah, so background. Is that what we want to go to next? And if so, I have got a treat for y'all.
Have you? What's on IMDb?
Okay, so on IMDb, it says in the scene where Mel waits for Martin in the gym, the words "Have a nice day" can be seen etched on the killer's machete. So the killer has "Have a nice day" on his machete, which is interesting. Like we said, James McAvoy and Isla Fisher had major careers from this. The lead girl, Sarah, I remember her from Cherry Falls. She was one of the characters who was giving everybody sex tips on, basically hooking up so they don't get killed. So, yeah, I remember her from that, which was a lot of fun. Do any of you guys have any trivia? Eric?
Just that Jan Vlasak, who plays the cop who does all the exposition and then arrives at the pool and gets killed instantly, I recognized him, and because he is one of the main sort of businessmen doing the killing in the first Hostel movie. So he's the guy they meet on the train, I think, on the way to wherever they're going.
Is he the one that Paxton kills at the end?
Yeah.
Holy crap, I never noticed that. Wow.
I watched Hostel yesterday, and I was like, yeah, I recognized him, from rewatching it. But Joseph, background.
I don't have anything.
Justin, what does Wikipedia say?
Well, I don't know. I've done my own homework.
How dare you?
From what I've read, this film was apparently it started in the gestation for it started in 1997, so pretty soon after Scream came out, or Scream 2 was out at that time. So with the idea of doing a German Scream, but apparently they delayed production because they decided for international sales to make it an English language movie. So they said, from what I've read, that resulted in having to recast some of the cast, but considering some of the stiff line readings from some of the non-English speaking cast, I'm surprised that's the case. But anyway, when it did come out in 2001 in Germany, it kind of flopped. So it didn't have a big success there. And I think basically, as we kind of know, we've spoken about before, it's kind of 2001 was really the year that the kind of post-Scream bubble burst, really, wasn't it? With films like Jamie Blanks' Valentine kind of stiffing at the box office. So, but apparently this was a big hit in Italy. So much so that some producers there decided to make The Pool 2, which does exist. But it kind of, anyway, because it was, they got the rights to make The Pool 2, but rather than making a new movie, what they did was they took another slasher movie, which was Do You Want to Know a Secret?
No, I don't want to know a secret.
Which is kind of like, apparently I haven't seen, I remember that Do You Want to Know a Secret? I haven't seen it since, but a friend of ours, after Scream came out and during this whole Scream thing, we'd watched Scream, and she said, I, really enjoyed that. I'd like to see some more films like that. And she said, I've been to this video shop and I've got this video that it says it's just like Scream. And it was, Do You Want to Know a Secret? Which is widely known as the worst slasher movie from that period, I think. It was pretty fun one to cover probably. But what they did was they got the rights to Do You Want to Know a Secret, or I kind of got the rights, I don't know quite. But, and then they shot some extra scenes, including a murder scene at the pool at the beginning, and also a different ending. So they redubbed it and to make it into basically the Pool 2, and it got released to Italian cinemas. But then something to do with the rights, they didn't really have the rights or something. There was some kind of rights snafu, which means that the film has never been seen since it got released to cinemas in Italy. So it never got a home video release, so it's kind of lost. And the reason I know this is actually I spoke to the director of the Pool 2, for my Lost Slashers page, and he confirmed that it did actually exist, but in reality it's kind of 85% of it is a recut, Do You Want to Know a Secret? So there is a Pool 2, but it's kind of, to a fashion. Apart from that, I don't know if there's any other background particularly, apart from obviously it was shot in Prague and in parts of the Czech Republic. That's all I have on it, I think.
So where does that bring us?
On to recently seen, I would think.
Joke of the week.
Do you want to hear what our listeners thought of the film?
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay, listeners, the first act dragged quite considerably for me, and I found all the characters annoying. Granted, I was only able to view a German dub, so maybe the latter was due to that. Once it gets going, it is a serviceable slasher, most of the time competently made, but I did find some scenes hilarious. The first girl killed after the opening credits stands next to an empty car and starts shrieking a couple of times before the killer shows up. There is no visible threat, and at least in the German dub, there is also no audio clue as to why, just orchestral stings every time before she starts shrieking. Maybe there was also a string section hiding in the surprisingly well-lit woods, playing the killer in. I will also never forgive them for the opening scene when the girl, while cooking, announces to her mom on the phone that she is preparing a wonderful, and then it cuts off. A wonderful what? Still thinking about this, and that was from Marcus Dietrich. So thank you, Marcus.
That reminds me of the scene later on in the film where one of the characters comes and finds her friend floating dead in the pool, which originally I thought must be the girl who died at the beginning. But it's her friend actually holding her breath.
That's what I thought. I thought it was the girl from the beginning as well.
But as soon as she gets out, she has a cigarette as well, doesn't she?
She held her breath for like 2.5 minutes. You'd think she'd want to breathe for like a split second, but...
Well, you think if she's a smoker, she could only hold her breath for about 15 seconds underwater.
Yeah, you would have thought, but yeah.
This one says, love the Euro slasher leanings, all set in a water park accompanied by slick visuals, awkward line delivery, and a killer water slide moment. Appearances by McAvoy and Fisher in early roles add surprise star power. Not essential, but a must for international slasher fans. That's from Sean Guerrero. And this last one says, good timing, as I've been thinking about revisiting this for a while. It's been quite some time, but remember enjoying it quite a bit. One thing that sticks in my head is the opening kill scene. At the time, I couldn't figure out if it was related to the rest of the film or just a random one-off. Maybe you guys can explain it, or maybe I was just drunk when I watched it. Either way, looking forward to what the gang has to say about it. That was from Steve Yacht. And to answer his question, I think she makes a mention while she's talking to her mom on the phone. She's like, I dumped the guy because he was crazy. I'm assuming she's talking about Frank.
Yeah.
But that's it.
Okay. Well, there was, because it wasn't the scene, wasn't it, when the police go around to his house and we don't know it's Frank and he's killed his sister.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. But it didn't look like a particularly posh house, did it? Because everyone else was saying about how they all had loads of money. So what was the motive actually behind it? Was it just because he got dumped?
He's an incel, yeah.
So why not kill everyone at your graduation? It's kind
logical next step.
So, excellent. Well, thanks to everyone who wrote in. So, Eric, I do believe I can play you a jingle for your upcoming...
Week, finally, we won't have to sing it.
Yes, well, let's hope your joke won't sink without a trace.
It's my joke of the week. It's so great and fantastic.
Okay, hold on to your sides, everyone, because this is going to be good. The MPAA had a lot of issues with the violence in the pool. They insisted that the film be watered down. Watered down. Water, Justin, because it's a pool, and the pool is full of water.
I was almost certain you were gonna make a quote somehow about Isle of Fish or.
See, it hurts, doesn't it, Nathan?
I'm not going to say anything because I don't want the horn.
You get it anyway.
Yeah.
Nathan, I think I would have, if I had to vote for a joke, it would be Nathan's, I think.
What? But Nathan didn't even do a joke. He just said something about Isla Fisher.
Well, he put more effort into it than you did, Eric.
Caddy today, isn't he? Eric, we don't have a guest on the show. You don't have to pretend.
I'm not pretending. Justin's being mean to me.
Sarah, you can cheer yourself up with what is your new little soundboard?
Toilet face.
What is that from, Eric?
That's from the Maddening, starring Burt Reynolds and Mia Sara, who has to pull down her pants and go for a wee in a room in one of the most degrading scenes she's probably ever had to perform in a movie.
Well, at least it wasn't a number 2.
True. Yeah.
So, we're moving on to recently seen. So, The Maddening is a movie that kind of popped up because it kind of fits broadly into the kind of from hell genre. So I think, have we all seen it now?
Yeah.
So who would like to talk about it first? Nathan, did you see it?
The Maddening. I saw The Maddening way back in the day. I haven't caught up with it recently. The weirdest thing is the main thing I remember is a scene where the main woman is trying to get out of this door and she's using her fingernail to it snaps her fingernail in half, and that just always looks extremely painful to me. But that's what I remember.
Okay. Well, it has Eric. You kind of maybe you can describe where that quote comes from. Because you kind of got inspired to watch the movie because of that.
Yeah, because Justin watched it and he said, oh, there's a scene in it where a little girl calls another little girl toilet face. And I said, well, I have to watch this now. So the setup is there's a woman and a girl are going to visit her sister, and halfway there they break down and they end up locked into this house owned by Burt Reynolds and his crazy wife. Well, he's crazy as well. And they have a daughter. That's their daughter, is it?
I think so, yeah.
They look kind of a bit old to have a daughter that age. But so the daughter's kind of crazy as well. And it's kind of Texas Chainsaw Massacre-ish in that way, in that they have a crazy family keeping these people hostage, although it's nowhere near as extreme, obviously. But yeah, the little girl she's probably the lesser of in the crazy scale than her parents, but she still comes out with classic lines like, we're going to the woods, toilet face. The film... it's incredibly trashy. It's got Angie Dickinson in the crazy mother role and Burt Reynolds the crazy father role, and both of them probably were thinking, what the hell are we doing in this film? But then there's poor Mia Sara, who I probably best remembered for Ferris Bueller's Day Off, and as I said, she has a scene where she's locked in a bedroom for so long that she needs to go for a wee, and the camera just shows her like squatting down and having a wee on the floor of this bedroom, and it's like, ooh... It was kind of fun, though, in a really, really sort of trashy movie kind of way. What did you think, Justin?
Well, I was kind of, I didn't know what to expect really, because, don't expect, but well, they kind of From Hell movies, a lot of them had like very famous people in them, some of the biggest names of the day, but Burt Reynolds and Angie Dickinson were not past their best exactly, but Burt Reynolds was at the time, he just finished, he had a sitcom called Evening Shade or something, had just been cancelled, and he just got divorced from Lonnie Anderson. And apparently she got the massive payout which he couldn't afford, so he made this movie which he described in the press as a low-budget art film, which I thought was strange.
Yeah, right.
And it was actually quite well documented because it was kind of made by Tremark, and it was supposed to be like a big budget or not big budget, but it was going to be a big screen release. In the end, it got played once in Toledo, in Ohio, for one weekend, but went straight to video a couple of years after it was made. But for me, it was kind of such a weird mishmash because it's based on Andrew Needham's book, the Playthings or Playmates, which is kind of a horror novel, and so it was kind of strange mishmash because you had this kind of really kind of weird bits, quite kind of creepy bits. Like there's a bit where Angie Dickinson talks about her dead baby. She fantasizes or dreams about it trying to claw its way out of the grave, so things like that. But then you've got incredibly trashy bits, and then you've got Burt Reynolds not once but punching the main protagonist actress in the face and knocking her out, like proper sucker punching her. And I was reading in interviews with him, he was saying he was basically thinking of divorce lawyers every time he punched her in the face. so but overall it was completely crazy. Angie Dickinson gave this kind of like bad movie, it's kind of one of those kind of roles that kind of transcends bad movie acting into something else. It's like she was on some kind of weird Viacom or some kind of kind of drug-induced haze, but it was kind of reminding me also the mixture of those old hagsploitation sort of Southern Gothics from the 60s with Bette Davis. So it was a real mishmash, but I enjoyed it. I mean, it is terrible in a lot of ways, and also because you've got the main character and her daughter who write quite good. They look like they're acting in a straight-ahead prestige thriller, and her husband and her sister and some of the other actors, including the fat policeman called Chicky, I think it is, who walks around to the sounds of farting trombones, and then you've got this kind of what? And then you've got this kind of like some people playing it completely straight and other people playing it like it's a comedy. So it's a real mishmash. So it's an interesting movie, a complete failure, but a kind of interesting one. So yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was. But I know, Joseph, you caught up with it as well, didn't you?
Yeah, I've seen this movie more times than I care to admit. They used to play it on HBO all the time in the mid-90s. Right after it came out, my younger brother, he loved this movie, so he'd watch it all the time, and it just kind of glommed onto it from there. But I love it. It's so trashy. It's so hard to believe that Burt Reynolds was doing this and he's having such a hard time in life, and then only like a year and a half to 2 years later he was up for Oscar contention for Boogie Nights. So he came out on top in the end finally. But yeah, I love this movie.
Excellent. Well, that was the Maddening. So Eric, have you seen anything else?
Yes, well, I finally caught up with a film from 2001 that you guys have probably seen, and I'm really late to the party, but the DVD I have is called Roadkill, but you'd probably know it better as Joyride, with Paul Walker and Steve Zahn. Really enjoyable mix of Jewel and The Hitcher. Kind of, it has Jewel in that they're being chased across desert landscapes by this guy in a big, 16-wheel truck thing.
Surprised we haven't actually covered it yet.
Would it be a slasher?
Close enough.
Yeah.
Considering what we're covering tomorrow.
Really, really enjoyable. They install a CB radio into their car as they're traveling across country, and they start playing a prank on this trucker, making him think he's going to score with some hot chick that night, and he doesn't take too kindly when he discovers it's just a prank, and so he goes after them. As I said, it's kind of like The Hitcher as well as being like Jewel, because we hear the killer's voice over the CB radio, and he sort of kidnaps certain members of the group at certain points. It's very popcorn, very polished, real sort of multiplex type movie, but I thought really, really enjoyable. The interesting thing about the DVD is it comes with it has an alternate ending that's 29 minutes long, so it's a complete different. It's almost like a different movie. It has the same first hour, but then 29 minutes of different material at the end. So that was kind of interesting. I haven't looked at any of the other extras on it to see why there was an alternate ending that lasted 30 minutes. But I have to delve into that, because what I did as well was I bought Joyride 2, or Roadkill 2 as it's called, which is subtitled Dead Ahead. This was a straight-to-video one from 2008. I don't know, do you know a shop called CEX, the Entertainment Exchange? They have them in the UK. They have them here in Ireland as well, and you can buy old DVDs for 50 cents and £1. So that's why I'm picking up these. I bought a lot of kind of straight-to-video sequels and stuff, and so I'll be talking about them over the coming episodes probably. But yeah, so I bought Joyride, or Roadkill, and Roadkill 2. And Roadkill 2 is really quite good. It's much more violent than Roadkill 1. It was made in 2008, so it's post-Hostel and Saw, and you can tell because there are scenes where people are kidnapped and they're forced to... There's a scene where two guys are kidnapped, they're forced to roll a dice, and whatever number it lands on is the punishment the person they're sitting opposite gets, and it all ends with somebody getting a spike through their head, and it comes out through their chin, kind of like that guy in The Prowler. So it's much more gooey and graphic, but actually really well made. For a straight-to-DVD movie, I thought it was really quite polished and much darker than the sort of popcorn thrills of the original, but still an entertaining watch. And I picked up other straight to DVD sequels, but I'll talk about them on the next episode. But yeah, so Roadkill or Joyride 1 and 2, what are your guys' thoughts on those two?
I haven't seen part 2.
I've only seen part 1, but I haven't seen it for years and years and years, probably kind of seen from after it came out.
There is a scene you probably remember where the trucker, Rusty Nail is his name, tells the two guys who are, I think the conventional term is hot, have to strip down naked, and they have to walk into a roadside diner completely naked, and you can see their bottoms.
I was okay with that scene.
Yeah, I thought you would be, Nathan.
I haven't seen the second film, but I really loved that first film. I was on the edge of my seat throughout the whole film, if I remember correctly.
It's really well done, really well done.
It is well done, yeah.
I agree with Joseph on this one.
Because I remember a friend of mine raving about it back when it came out, and I just never got around to seeing it. And then I saw it on the shelf for €1, and I said, I might as well give it a whirl.
Excellent. Okay. Well, I'm sure we'll get around to that one at some point. Maybe you might choose it.
Yes.
Well, good stuff. Well, thank you, Eric. Nathan, how about you? Anything you want to tell us about?
I watched the Hand That Rocks the Cradle remake.
Oh, is that out? With Maker Monroe?
Yeah, it is. The actors are great in it. They're fantastic. I like Maker Monroe a lot. And Mary Elizabeth Winstead is really good as well.
Love her.
Yeah, she's great in it too. My problem is it just feels watered down, like compared to the original. Like the original just has a lot of over the top moments and, just a lot of like crazy stuff. This one feels much more tame to me. Overall.
Which actress is the psycho and which is the wife?
Maker Monroe is the psycho and Mary Elizabeth Winstead is the wife. And it's not a bad movie, in my opinion. It's not a bad movie at all, but I just feel like it could have just been titled something else. It didn't have to be a Hand That Rocks the Cradle thing, because in this one, the motivations are totally different. She don't even care about the kids in the remake. Like, it has nothing to do with wanting to, basically take over as the wife and mother of this family, which to me, that's what the original was about. And the whole title is basically kind of a play on that because, she's wanting to take the mom's place in this family. But yeah, in the sequel, it's not like that at all. So it's just kind of weird that they did this movie as a remake to Hand That Rocks the Cradle. It just seemed like it would be better off just being its own thriller, really.
Okay, well, I'll catch up with it at some point. I know it was made for cable or for some kind of... It wasn't...
Hulu, I think, wasn't it?
Hulu, yeah.
I think it was Hulu, yeah.
Okay, well, anything else, Nathan?
I also finally got around to Brightburn. I hadn't seen it. I missed everybody talking about it. I missed all of that. And eventually Wes wanted to watch it, and I knew it had some kind of horror aspects to it. So I said, okay, and gave it a watch, and I liked it. I thought it was, a pretty good film. I will say, sadly enough, is even though I thought it was fun while I was watching it, I seriously cannot remember anything about it now. Like, I can't remember.
Did you not remember the dad in it being extremely hot?
I don't remember that.
The only thing I remember about that movie is I thought the premise was actually kind of interesting, but I think the mother character, if I'm remembering correctly, was very stupid. Like, she deserved everything she got.
I can't even remember that, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
Lastly, I finally watched Weapons. Now, this is one that I'm very excited about because I loved it. I loved every bit of it. And, even though I do kind of agree that towards the end, it kind of starts getting a little goofy compared to the rest of the film. Yeah, but I don't even care because it was so unbelievably entertaining. It has genuinely funny moments and it has like pretty creepy moments. There's the one scene where the teacher gets drunk and passes out in her car. And then you see like this figure come out of the house and like walking, holding like a pair of scissors, which I thought was really tense and well done because then you hear her get into the back seat of the car. And it's just one of those edge of your seat kind of moments. And I love movies that do what this one does is kind of like the timeline jumps around a bit because you're kind of seeing everybody's perspective.
Yeah, Pulp Fiction.
But yeah, in this one, I don't really have any complaints. I just thought that, like I said, the worst thing a movie can be, as we've said before, is boring. And this movie was not boring. I was not bored at all. I was very intrigued the whole time trying to figure out what was really happening. And I will say Wes was pretty good because he called what was happening right from the get-go.
Did he?
And I did not. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was when it was painted on her car and the word that was painted on her car. And then he was just like, you know what? I bet this is what's happening.
Mm.
But in any case, Weapons is a, 10 out of 10. Love it.
Excellent. And Joseph, how about you?
Yeah, I caught up with Clown in a Cornfield, and I had a really fun experience with this film overall. It's very gory and has at least 3, really grand set pieces with the characters being chased through cornfields and stalked through various other locations. But what really stands out are those characters, and I think they're very well-developed characters, which was much appreciated considering the ciphers present and accounted for in the pool. The characters here, I wouldn't call them deeply drawn, but they are properly established and given room to kind of, to express their personalities before being dispatched. There's even a few clever twists concerning a couple of them that I won't spoil, but I really appreciated those twists being organic to character development rather than to service plot twists. I was also getting some minor kind of Happy Birthday to Me vibes with the characters, as the core cast are kind of a popular clique of kids, and the way they're kind of bumped off one by one really felt brotherly to that, to Happy Birthday to Me. Maybe it's the Canadian kind of influence, I don't know, but if I had a problem with the movie, it's got to be the killer, Friendo the Clown, I think he's supposed to be like a legend in whatever town this is set, but I don't find clowns particularly scary to begin with. What they really needed to do was kind of flesh out the legend aspect, and I feel like they didn't. I think one character looks at like a Friendo logo on a can of beans or something to that effect, and he says something like, "Friendo is a legend around here," and that's all we get. And then we get the reveal, which I don't know. I get what they were trying to say, and I think everyone on Earth has at one point or another played the whole generational blame game. I mean, Mike and the Mechanics wrote a whole song about it, but I just found it would have worked a little better if the killer were scarier. But, for me, at least they got the characters just right, and my gripe with the killer is kind of minor at best. It's a very fun, fast-paced, gory, very frenetic movie, but it's not overly frenetic. It's not like screechy. It's proportioned well. So yeah, I really enjoyed this one. It's a definite surprise for me.
Excellent. I know it's based on a book, isn't it? And there's a few others.
Young adult novel, I believe.
Young adult novels. But so I don't know if there's been any buzz about any kind of sequel.
I would imagine there would be, because I know didn't they write like a couple of books based on that concept? It seems like it would be built in.
I'd watch a sequel.
Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Well, thank you, Joseph. Anything else?
Yeah, I got one more, but I'm going to save it for tomorrow.
Okay, cool. Well, I've got, likewise, because we're kind of front-loading some episodes. We're doing another main show tomorrow. We'll let you know what the title is shortly. But one I'll just quickly talk about now was another From Hell movie, which has kind of definite slasher movie leanings, which was The Paperboy from 1994.
I am not your mother.
So another Canadian movie. In fact, actually, it has amazed me. I would say probably half of the From Hell movies are Canadian, just in the same way as the Canadians did with My Bloody Valentine and Happy Birthday to Me, and they made all these kind of classic era slasher movies set in the United States. So the vast majority, but perhaps the vast majority of these From Hell movies I'm covering are exactly the same. They're kind of made in Canada, passing off as being in the United States. And the Paperboy is kind of very similar. I mean, the main kind of, I kind of guess, plot thing, the From Hell is a kind of an adolescent or pre-adolescent boy who murders his elderly next door neighbor. So her daughter, played by Alexandra Paul, who was, I think, famous. She was in American Nightmare.
Yeah, and Christine and Baywatch.
And she was in Baywatch at the time in this, but she moves back, and then basically he decides that she's going to be his new mother, because his mother, turns out he probably killed his mother, and he wants the perfect family. So it's a little bit along the lines of the stepfather. So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it's got a great central performance by, I think it's Mark Marut, who's as the Paperboy. And he was only about 13 when he made this, but he's got a great kind of, range, and really kind of goes really psycho in this. And they've got all sorts of, does little Freddy one-liners throughout. It's just a lot of fun. But also, whoever did it seems to be really kind of paying tribute to classic Canadian slasher movies, because at the beginning he kills the old lady by putting a see-through plastic bag over her head, a bit like the death scene in Bob Clark's Black Christmas. But also it ends with this kind of very slasher movie. It turns into a kind of slasher movie at the end when you've got the Paperboy chasing Alexandra Paul with a pickaxe, which very much felt like it was a nod to My Bloody Valentine. So yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It's kind of a really fun little movie. But you guys, from what you're saying, you've seen it.
Yeah, I love the Paperboy. It kind of gets cross-referenced with Mikey, but I think it's a lot better than Mikey. Although I do like Mikey. If you haven't seen Mikey, Justin, that's another From Hell kid movie you should check out.
I've done a commentary for Mikey, actually.
Justin's done a commentary for the UK. Was it UK release?
I did not know that, or I probably did know it and just forgot. So sorry.
Well, for a couple of years ago with Amanda Reyes, but for that we watched quite a few of those movies. The other one I thought was hilarious was the Daddy's Girl. Have you ever seen Daddy's Girl?
I think I've seen that, maybe.
And it's got like this kind of bad-tempered young girl with bright ginger hair, which reminded me of a certain someone. But so I'm going to be covering that, because with the book I'm doing obviously From Hell, because there's like Mikey, there's the Paperboy. Another film I might talk about tomorrow actually is Relative Fear, which is another Canadian movie with a possibly killer kid in it. But yeah, Paperboy was a lot of fun. So and again, definitely had that slight more. In a lot of ways, it moves definitely towards the kind of slasher movie. And in fact, actually, as we come to the end of the show, we're going to say it is my choice next. But funnily enough, me and Nathan seems to switched. It's a bit like Freaky Friday, isn't it? Where you chose the pool and I chose the upcoming movie, which is a movie that admittedly Nathan said I should watch because it fits into the From Hell genre, but also via the slasher movie. And it definitely turns into, I'd say it definitely turns into a slasher movie in its closing half hour with that chocolate pie in the face and stalking scenes.
Like Three Stooges.
So we're going to be covering from 1989 is Murder-in-Law. And if you do want to watch along, then somebody has done a 4K upscale of the movie on YouTube. And when I say 4K, they've obviously taken like a VHS tape and upscaled it to 4K, which means that basically anytime there's any kind of things like cornflakes, the word cornflakes is completely like hieroglyphics, because obviously the upscale doesn't know what to do with words, but it looks okay. But it's a lot of fun. So if you do want to watch along, then you can see that for free on YouTube. And I very much doubt it's going to be getting a 4K Blu-ray release anytime soon, but who knows?
Well, Vinegar Syndrome have released things as obscure as Murder-in-Law.
Yeah, and it actually was shot on 35mm. So,
okay.
So yeah, which I found out. And also found out some quite interesting background on it. So we'll talk about that tomorrow. So, yes.
Can't wait.
Yeah, okay. So, anything left to say?
Feedback. that we
Feedback, of
have in
course.
the inbox since August. Yeah, so I'll go first. This is from Greg Burkhart. Howdy, folks. Greg Burkhart here. I've been out of circulation for much of the past year due to some health issues, but I'm gradually returning to the world and happy to see the launch of your Videocast. Eric is as beautiful as I imagined, and his bum is really sexy.
I hold on. That doesn't look like what I'm reading.
No,
here.
it does say that.
It sounds like it's been
does say that,
edited.
The Hysteria Continues has been a big part of my life for about 12 years now, and it's been a privilege to be a guest on the show, but I never actually had a chance to see who I was talking to. Now that my health and finances are slightly better, I'm finally able to kick in a few bucks to your Patreon, and I'm looking forward to catching up on some missed episodes. The new format looks groovy, so keep up the great work as always. All the best, Gregory Burkhart. P.S. Toya rules and Susie is stupid.
I am looking at the same page as you, Eric, and that's complete bullshit, as you know. Bullshit artist. So, Eric, you can't get upset because you're making stuff up.
You can get upset when you lied.
You made me look foolish in front of everyone.
You made yourself look foolish, Eric.
Yeah. Well, shall I go next?
Yeah.
I'll do another one here. And this starts with Toya is awful, but
No,
Susie
it's not.
rules.
I'm looking here and it doesn't say that.
Taste your own bitter medicine, Eric. So this is from James Packman. And just to show how long some of these have been sitting there, we do apologise. It says, it's Sunday, August the 24th here in Gisborne, New Zealand, and currently watching The Wrong Turn 2 episode. Great but corny sequel to the original film. I've been enjoying recent horror releases, but think I've seen the film of the year on Friday night, Weapons. So funny enough, a bit of synchronicity there. What a superb movie, and I was so pleased I went in blind. Very clever how it uses Tarantino-like character flashbacks throughout, whilst not offering anything too obvious as to where it's heading at any given time. If you haven't, do give it a look. It's something very different for sure. On the slasher front, I rewatched Fulci's New York Ripper for the first time in maybe 10 years. It's actually very nasty and has the same sleazy, grimy feel of Maniac. Looking forward to what you lads do over the Halloween period. Kind regards, James Packman. So, funnily enough, actually, although we waited a few months to read that out, and apologies again to everyone. It's funny how that is. It literally is. We're recording on November the 1st, so Halloween has just been. And obviously what we talked about, we've been watching over Halloween, and also talked about Weapons as well. So, nice bit of synchronicity. But when we come back for the next episode, we've got a couple more to read out. So if you want for us to read out what your message, then do write into us at The Hysteria Continues. And Joseph, you'll be dropping in details about how to do that.
You can contact us at thehysteriacontinues@gmail.com, but we'd really like you to check us out on Blue Sky. I keep soliciting for feedback on the movies of the week, but our feedback's been kind of low the last few episodes, so let's do that, please.
Yeah, join over on Blue Sky, because I mean that's the only place you can see us on social media, including Hysteria Lives. So I've got the Hysteria Lives Facebook, but not Facebook page anymore, but a Blue Sky page. So if you do want to keep up with what we're doing, then do join us on Blue Sky, which is for my sort of money, it's a far less toxic place than a lot of other social media platforms. If you've been burnt by those for now, but yeah, join us while it still stays friendly. So Nathan, what are we playing out with?
We're going to play out with I Want to Know What Love Is by Foreigner, because that's what the killer wanted. He wants to know what love is.
See, I would have went with Night Swimming by REM, but that's just me.
Yeah, I can't do the swimming. It was too obvious. I have to go for the mental psyche of the killer in this movie.
Wow.
And I was getting very deep with it.
Very Freudian of you.
Okay, right. Well, thank you for watching or listening to us on Hysteria Continues. Thank you very much. And join us over on Patreon. We've got we've got hundreds of episodes on there now, haven't we?
We're getting close to 1,000, actually, if you put them both together.
Wow.
Like if you put the Patreon stuff and our main stuff together, we're well over 600, almost 700, maybe into 700s, maybe.
Oh,
gosh. So you haven't had enough of us through this on YouTube or listening to on your podcatchers, then join us over on there for a lot more content. So well, thank you, Nathan, and thank you for everyone listening or watching, and we'll catch you next time on The Hysteria Continues. So it's a goodbye from us, and say goodbye to the good people.
Bye.
Till next time.
Bye.
Bye.
I wanna know what love is.